there, yarn lovers, it's Gary and I'm coming to you from my happy place, the Yarn Corner here on Vancouver Island in Canada. So welcome, welcome, welcome. Today is Thursday, January the 12th, 2023, and this is video number 171. How are you all doing? I hope you're well and staying safe. This is my first episode of the new year, so I want to wish everyone a happy new year. It's been a hot minute. I've been away for almost 13, 14 days since my last recording. So this one's going to be a bit jam-packed. I have things to cover like works in progress, some updates on whips that I showed you in the past. I have some possible intentions. I've got some happy mail, and I also have some highlights on pattern writing that I was working on, so I'll update you on those things. Also, later down the way, I'll talk about what I've been up to with my husband in this community, and I'll leave that towards the end. So if you're just sticking around for all the yarny goodies, they'll be up front. And I want to thank everyone who's joined the channel over the course of 2022 and beyond, like before that time, to say thank you for making it such a great year. I had so much fun connecting with people and also enjoying the wisdom of the craft, the yarn crafts, what you shared with me and highlighted in your working lives as well in the crafting world. So I want to say thank you so much. I appreciate, and that's why I do these videos, to keep up the connection. So thank you so much. If you're happening across this channel for the first time, I want to welcome you. I set this channel up to talk about all of my yarny adventures. That's in knit, crochet. I do dabble in a little bit of hand dyeing of yarn, but nothing on a big scale. And yeah, so if that kind of thing is of interest to you, please stick around. Think about supporting the channel. You can always make me comment, and also thumbs up, give me a like of the video. So thank you. For those as well who are wanting to know why I've got those little thumbnails down below, there should be some thumbnails of my shop, which is a Teespring shop. They have merchandise with Urban Yarn on it, and if you want to support me in it that way as well through 2023, those things are for purchase, and the money that I get back from the purchases will go back into the channel. So I want to say thank you up front. If you're looking to reach out and contact me, I have my email address down below in the description box, as well as my Instagram account. So if you want to see more of my ongoings there, you can get some little snippets as well as photographs. So yeah, I think that covers everything. Let's get started on the podcast. I've got a lot to show and share, and if it does run a little longer, what I'll do is I'll just cut it somewhere and maybe make a second video. So I'm going to start with talking about what Hank and I are wearing. Hank is my man form here. He's wearing the Morben Design Mystery 2022 shawl, and it's a crocheted item. I didn't do it in 2020 when the design came out. I did it a year later. So this time last year, between 2021 and 2022, over the Christmas period, I was finishing it up. I really had a lot of fun on this pattern. It is quite a beast of a pattern, but that's what he's wearing right now in my favorite color, green. What I'm wearing is something that you might recognize. It is the Stephen West Make Along for 2022, and it is the Twists and Turns. I finished this up in 2022, which I was finished knitting on the 31st of December. And then I wove in my ends and blocked the piece into January 1st and 2nd. So it kind of saddles between the 2 years on a finished piece. Yeah, I really enjoyed making it. There were times when I thought, I'm going to give up. And there were times when I thought, I really am learning a lot, keep going. So peaks and valleys with this project. And because it was my first Stephen West mystery make along, which starts in October or somewhere in the fall, I believe it was October the 6th, I was falling behind pretty much after the first clue. Stephen West brings out 4 clues, and I was finding that I was already 2 weeks behind in week number 2, and then 3 weeks behind in week number 3, and then possibly 6 weeks behind or 8 weeks behind in clue number 4. But I was embracing my pace, as Stephen West says, and I got it done. So I'm really happy with the result. And after finishing it, I thought this is a piece that will be kind of in my wardrobe as something that I won't wear often, but it is a piece where I will reflect back on when I'm looking at it to understand the learns, design, structure, construction, all that sort of good stuff. So, and how to read patterns as well, because everyone has a slightly different way of reading a pattern. When I was working this up as well, it was essential that I was looking at the tutorials, which are video based, to learn exactly what I was meant to do with each of the acronym pattern breakdowns and where to put my needles, what kind of stitch I was inserting my needle into when Stephen West talks about the pattern. So very essential to have the visual for me. And I'm very much a visual learner as well as reading the pattern. So both together in conjunction help me solve some of the issues or understanding the pattern better. And I think that's the way a lot of pattern makers are going nowadays, that have more construction based or different stitch work, needle work that is going through the different stitches. When you're doing something modular like this shawl is, there is definitely a need to see, because it's hard to describe which area that the needle is going into to connect or pick up stitches. So I really love it so much for those factors. Learning, looking at back as a piece, also experiencing the new to me yarns that I used in here. And yeah, so I'll show you, I'll take it off. I do have some photos because I don't think I'll be able to get it all in screen. But first of all, I will talk about some of these things, and then I will put the photos on and then come back and talk a little bit more about it. So here it is here. The chevron section down here is clue 1 or section 1. And then clue 2 is the stripy bits here. And there's section 2 and 3. And then section clue 3 is the cables down below. I think they came, did that come with the, I think that came with the stripes. So it was the stripes and the cables. So this was clue 2. And then clue 3 was the band along here with this lovely, it's like a cable, twisted cable pattern that waves through the yellowish green part. And then clue 4 was just blocking in all of the striping here, as well as doing the little garnish down here in between the chevrons. So that's a basic breakdown of how the work was handled and described in each of the 4 clues. Really kind of like a brief and nasty description of it, but each of the things had so many things that I did learn about it. I did make some modifications to it, and I got the modification to do the scalloping edge because it is, the pattern gives you choices of stopping the edge where Stephen West has more of a sharp angular repetition of the chevron, and it's not the scallops. But you can continue on and knit more of the piece here. So it does look like the Millennium Falcon a little bit when you lay it down to block it. But I saw this on the Knitting Hobbits channel, and that's Ruth. Hi Ruth. She had done a wonderful alteration to the join, and she did the scalloping that you see here. She wrote some really good description on what her change was, and I copied them from her Ravelry. So I love that there was that option there to change it up. And I've seen many people who have knitted this that have made alterations, additions, subtractions, and they're all wonderful. I just like the fact that it is a kind of personalized touch on the pattern. So the reason why I chose the scalloping, or that I followed Ruth's directions, was it has a wavy twisted cable here in this yellow green area, and it repeats that flavor or that sort of motif through the nice curvatures of the cables there, and then it also ripples on the edge here down below. So I really enjoyed making that modification, and I'm going to say after blocking, I was worried that my piece was looking quite smaller than everyone else's, but when I blocked it, it really grew. I'm going to say even up to almost 9 inches in length and probably about 4 inches in the depth. Right now it's my wingspan, and then hangs probably half a foot to a foot on each side, so that's probably around 7 to 7.5 feet long, and it's about at the widest part, I'm going to say about maybe 2.5 feet in the width, not the width but the length here, how far it drops. So yeah, I'll include the photographs here where you can see more of it, and I'll come back and talk to you about the yarn that I used, as well as needle size and needle brand as well. So enjoy the photographs. I'll see you soon. So what did you think of the photos? Quite an interesting experience. Chad and I went for a hike down one of the trails by us, and we thought we had a nice quiet area where, you know, no one would disturb us by the creek. And as we were taking the photographs, I looked up and there's like a group of people wanting to know what was going on. They were good natured. We told them that we're just taking photographs for the scarf, and then they went on their merry way. So interesting experience. I'm going to talk about the yarn now, and the yarn that was used in this shawl was gifted yarn. So I'm going to add all of the people who gift me yarns in this video down below in the description box to give them special kudos, and I absolutely loved using this yarn, so thank you so much. The first one being the darker green here, which is the main color, was the West Yorkshire Spinners in the Exquisite range. The color was Bayswater, and the pattern calls for 200 gram hanks. So I used my first 100 gram, and this is 90 grams left over of the second 100 gram. So I just ate into this second skein by a little bit, and I was concerned because I could see that quite a number of other people who were charging on ahead or had finished the scarf when I got to certain bits of the section later down the way, I could see that my shawl was looking a little smaller than theirs. So I thought maybe I'd missed something out, but I hadn't, and that's how much is left. The contrast color here, which is more of the jade color, is this beautiful one here, and it's from Madeline Tosh. It's in Merino Light and one of a kind colorway called Herbology, but I actually had 2 hanks of this, and I had put in the first entire hank, and then this is 70 grams left, so I had used 30 grams of the second hank. The last one is the highlighter color here, highlighter green. It's called the accent color in the pattern, and I had used this yarn here, which is from Knit Crate. It's called Vitalana Sock Delight or Delight Sock in the colorway Walking Dead. So wonderful gifted yarns, and I really enjoyed them. Thank you so much for the gifters. And for my needles, I used my Chargu stainless steel interchangeable set, and I believe my length size was 40 inches and my needle size was 3.5 millimeters. That's what the pattern requested. I really love it. Yeah, so that'll go into my little collection and samples. I may get to wear it. I may just pull it out when I'm interested in design features or construction or color combination to reflect on it as my learns for future designing. So yeah, that's my Stephen West twists and turns. And moving right along, because I haven't done one of these episodes of Show and Tell since December 23rd or 22nd, before Christmas, I had all these scarves that I was making for gifts over Christmas Day dinner. We had 19 people that would gather together and we had a lot of fun. But my idea was to have a game of gifting these 19 scarves. Each person would get one scarf, and I wrapped them up with some having carols in them, Christmas carols, and whoever lucky dipped those packages out with the Christmas carols had to sing the song for their scarf. Now, Chad, my husband, had the monitor set up in the living room of my brother-in-law, his brother, and all the lyrics were on the screen to sing, and it was accompanied by music. So everyone pitched in and they all sang along, and the 5 people who were lucky enough to pick out those carols, they all joined in and sang really, really well. So I'm gonna play a clip right now to show you the last remaining 7 scarves that I had done to complete my 19 scarves. And I knew I wouldn't have a chance to show you the finished pieces now because they were all gifted away, and I wanted to capture it back when I had finished them. So just before we went to Vancouver, I did a little snippet talking about the yarn. You'll see that I get inspired by Setta's calendar cow for 2022, the last, I believe, 4 months. So I'll talk about the people that were celebrating in those months. And some of the yarns were gifted yarns. Now, I don't mention that in the snippet that I took, but I will also put the gifted yarns down below in the description box by the people who sent me that beautiful yarn. So I want to say thank you. Here's the clip, and I'll be back to show you which scarf that I got. I will show you the first one that I have here. And this one is the mandala tweed stripes, and it's in the colorway called Buddha. I have to remember because there's like 7 of them. So it's wonderfully marled, 2 mandala, I believe they're 2 mandalas that are marled together to create the mandala tweed stripes. So it's a little thicker than the usual mandala. And this one has lovely browns in it, a smoky kind of bluish gray, and then goes into more of the purples and a pastel-y kind of color, and then back into more of the browns here. Each of the scarves that I cranked out on my Addy Express knitting machine were around 480 to 500 on the counter. And that gave me around 7 to 8 feet long scarves, which I think is a great long, lengthy scarf to wrap around a few times if you wish, or have longer tails. And I really like how this one turned out. Now, down below, I'm also going to feature a ranking or a rating out of 5, 5 being the most friendliest, when you're hand cranking these yarns on the Addy Knitting Express. And I'm doing that so that if you have one yourself and you want to try out new yarn, there were a couple of false starts for me, and I'll add those in as well, ones that did not work out so well. And yeah, you might get going on a project and feel a little confident with the rating. Now, I did not electric drill crank this, so the yarn might be a little different in ranking if you're using a drill, because I'm not too sure how harsh that might be on the mechanisms as well as the yarn. Hand cranking, I think, might be a little more gentler, but I'm not too sure. So keep that in consideration as well. So this is scarf number 1. Now, scarf number 2, the skinny cakes from Caron in the colorway Blueberry Pudding. And again, beautifully done on the Addy Express. Kitchener stitch closed them all off. And I used, I'm going to say 3/4 of this cake. I still have 1/4 of it left, but I reached my 480 to 500 clicks on the little counter, and I got myself a scarf that's around 7 to 8 feet long, and I really love the colors. Now, this one was an inspiration from Setta's Calendar Cal. The photograph that was submitted was from Deborah, and Deborah is from Alabama, and this was for the month of September. So absolutely love these colors, how they have shorter spurts of color blocking and then larger stripes. And the way that they've worked out the colors, they kind of blend very, very nicely in the Caron Skinny Cake. So you've got this kind of larger strip here, but on either side are a blend of the previous color and the color that's to come. So really lovely color worked out scarves here. Thank you, Caron Skinny Cake. Now I'm going to backtrack, and this is one that you've seen already from a previous showing of the scarves, and this is also a this is not also a Caron Skinny Cake. This is the Hirschner's Pastry Plus, and it is in the colorway Pomegranate. Now these are 5 color blocks that repeat, and they're equal striping kind of distances. I cranked out again the 480 to 500 clicks on my Addy Knitting Express, and Kitchener stitched. I think with this one, I actually completed the full cake, and I got myself close to around 12 feet long. So I decided to cut off the excess to give myself the 8 feet of scarf, and you'll see this colorway in the next combination scarf of all the leftovers. And so yeah, this is called Pomegranate. It is the Hirschner's Pastry Plus, and this colorway was inspired by the next month, which was the month of October, and that was a cozy quilter. I'm looking up there because the cozy quilter is right now on my wall, and she's from New York. So wonderful photograph there, and it's all in oranges and reds, and there's this beautiful tree behind the portrait, and they're all in autumnal colors. So I hope that this one celebrates the artist nicely. So thank you. The next scarf that I got to feature was going back to the Caron Skinny Cakes, and it was a colorway that was inspired by Setta's Calendar Cal for the month of November, and the celebrated artist and yarny person was Terry Mares. Terry, I hope that's how you pronounce your last name. And she has a podcast as well. It is called Terry Mares Crochet, and this is the colorway that I chose for it. So purples and a bit of this yellow color, golds. There's a little bit of gray in there as well, and some lighter purples. Really, really lovely color. So the colorway is called Plum Pudding. So we had Blueberry Pudding a little earlier, and now this is the Plum Pudding. I absolutely love the colors in this. And again, the Caron Skinny Cakes, really well planned out. You don't really get to see how this works out by just looking at the cake when it's all made up. But here is like what it looks like when you've got the larger blocks of color or stripes, and then the blend thinner stripe here of what this one and the next color would look like. So it's kind of an interesting play on striping and textures, and I can imagine the room full of people with all the pastry puff stripe and also the Caron Skinny Cake stripe scarves. They're all going to look like a bunch of Tom Baker Doctor Who's. So yeah, I absolutely love this. So I'll move right along, and this one here is quite an interesting hybrid of all the ends that I had from the last cakes that I showed. So this one here is the pomegranate. How much I had left was probably around 2.5 feet. And this was in the colorway called pomegranate, as I mentioned, and it's the Hirschner's Pastry Plus. This one in the middle here was the one that I just showed you, and that was what I had left over of it. This one's a little longer, I'm going to say 3.5 feet long, and that's the plum pudding from the Caron Skinny Cakes. Now, in the last video, I showed you this scarf here, and I had around maybe almost 3 feet, I'd say, of this one left over, and it is called Frozen from the Hirschner's Pastry Plus collection. So I put them all together, and equally as nice, super colorful scarf. I think the recipient who receives this will be very pleasantly surprised. And if you're looking to blend in the two cake collections together, the Hirschner's Pastry Plus and also the Caron Skinny Cake work well together. Now, moving right along, I have another skinny cake here, and this one was Spectrum, in the colorway Spectrum. Equally lovely. And this one again, on the clicker, it was around 480 to 500 clicks on my Addy Knitting Express. And I really love the colors of this one as well. This one has a really true orange, which I like, and the other ones don't seem to have a true orange. There's close to orange, but yeah, this one is really a really nice blend of earthy colors as well. So yeah. Now, I think I only have 2 more left to show you, and then that's the 7, repeating on one of them. So I've shown you 8. This one here is also one that I didn't use a cake on, but I used a lot of 4-weight yarns, which were friendly in my Addy Express, and I like this one too. So from up here, we have the Loops and Threads Impeccable in the colorway Indigo. And then I wanted to try out Paintbox Yarns, which is purchased from Lovecrafts, and in the colorway Grey Mist. Then this one here is a new one that I wanted to try out. It's kind of like the Fair Isle style printed yarn that has the colorway that you just either knit or work with in crochet, and it creates these little fun color stories like striping, and then sometimes you get some flowers or little motifs. And this one is from Loops and Threads as well. I got the ball band because I don't remember what the name was. Washable Wool Stripes it's called. So this one you can throw into the wash but lay flat to dry, and I loved how that worked up in the Addy as well, and how the colors played out. Then here it is Yarn Bee's yarn from Hobby Lobby in a speckly color called Oatmeal. I think it might have been called Soft and Sleek. I'm not too sure what the collection was. And this brown here was from Red Heart, and it was their soft range. Then going back and repeating the colors again, I did add in one extra. This one here, it's called Pistachio in the Paintbox series from Lovecraft, and I thought that worked in well as well. So really, really neat. I think that is everything. I might have one more actually. I'll just show you one more in case I might have missed it. I like this one a lot. Just in case I might have missed one of them, I'll show you this one, and it may be repeated in a past one, I'm not too sure. But this one is a stripy set of, I crank out 10 per stripe, 10 rotations on the clicker, and I get myself these like this thickness of a stripe. So what's that, maybe about 2 inches of each color. And this one has the Paintbox in Pistachio. It has this wonderful brown. I'm not sure where I got that brown from. I think this brown might have been the last remnants of my tent sales in the soft series that they had. Now, there's Monster Ball tent sail yarn, which is not very good in the Addy. It kept on jumping and losing stitches. And then there is the worsted soft tent sail yarn, and that was okay to use in my Addy Express. Then here is that Buddha from Lion Brand Tweed stripes, and then we have this color here, which is also a the bronze color, I think. Was it the same as this one? Yeah, it was that leftover yarn here of the Red Heart Soft. And the colorway I think is called Toast, which I don't know. That's quite dark, that toast color. And then Aruba C in Red Heart Super Saver, and then James C. Brett here in a color which is just a number, but it's this lovely lime marl color, and the collection's called Marble. And this one here was a Hobium yarn art, I believe. I can't remember what the name of that one was. I lost the ball band, but I had a little bit left over. So I'm just sort of like wrapping up a whole bunch of different colors that I had in my scrap bin, and colors that I had created scraps because I was using some in other scarves. So yeah, and not all of them are the same weight. There is a little bit of wobbling and bubbling going on here with the lighter fours and then the thicker fours. But once you have it you're wearing it, it's not going to show up as a mistake, and it's going to hold together well, and it'll just drape lovely. So I'll try this one on for you as well, just so that you can see. Ooh, I'll do another way of wearing the scarf. There we go. So those are the extra 7 that I had to show and to talk about. And oh, I do apologize. There's one more month of celebration happening with Setta's calendar MKAL, and that's the month of December. How did I forget that one? That was Krista from the Secret Yarnery, and I'm going to have to say that any of these would be for Krista, but I chose the Spectrum, which is the Caron Skinny Cake, for celebrating those bright colors that Krista from the Secret Yarnery features in her photograph. That concludes the Setta calendar MKAL, the final 4 months of the year. Yes, as you can tell, there was a whole lot of cranking going on in the craft room, and I did actually get a crooked neck because I was eager to get those last 7 scarves out. And as you can tell, there were a number of yarns that I used that I was reviewing as well for the Addy Express. And do you want to see the scarf that I got? So I was the very last person to pick out the scarf, and I got this one. I got the one that was my very last one, I believe I cranked out. No, maybe the 3rd last one. And it was the Spectrum colorway in the Caron Skinny Cake. I absolutely loved it. This was the one that was rejoicing December's month, and it was fitting because I cranked these out and I finished it up in December. So I got December's month, and it was commemorating the Secret Yarnery with Krista, and I absolutely love it. So let me try it on. Yeah, super colorful. I love the rainbow. Yeah, so that's my scarf, and I think now I'm going to move on to my next work in progress. It is a design that is from Martin's Story, and it's in this published book here from Rowan. It's called Simple Shapes Pure Wool Worsted, and it has 9 designs from Martin's Story. This is the one that I'm working on. It's called the Bergen for Chad, and I never can find, there it is, never can find this pattern page straight away. I should doggy tag it or something. This is what I've gotten to. So the back panel is done. It's a little creased because it's been folded, and I've done my arm shaping here. It's done in panels and pieces, and then you sew it or seam it together. And that's the texture at the top here where the neckline is, and I've got my needles there holding live stitches for the neckline, shoulders, and yeah, so I had to do some calculation here on the math because my tension was off by a long shot. I am very loose knitter, and I needed to pair it with needles that would give me a nice fabric, so I had to do some downsizing of my knit stitches to get the measurement of the width. That's what I normally go on when I'm doing my swatches, is more so the width, and then I can just judge it from how many rows by just measuring the length in centimeters or inches. But the width is the important thing when I'm starting off, just to get the width right. So yeah, did a swatch, did some math, and that's where I landed on my stitch count for a medium size. And it's gonna be over like 2 inches of positive ease on either side. So that's what, 4 inches of positive ease, because 2 and 2. And then I am up to my 2 left and right panels that I'm knitting in, what is it called when you knit them together? I don't know, there's a word for it, but in tandem, maybe. I'm knitting them together, and this panel here will be the left side, and it has the holes for the buttons, and this panel here will have the buttons on the button band area. Yeah, and the fabric is working out really nicely. It's curling up right now because it's just plain stockinette. I do like that it's a little bit more robust, being the outer shell wear of your ensemblage. So you have well, Chad will have a little bit more of forgiveness if he's wearing something underneath, like a shirt, and it ruffles or doesn't lay flat, that this will conceal it and hide it very well, and it won't show bulges as much as like a finer yarn would. So yeah, what am I using? Okay, so I'm using my Chargu needles, and my tips here are 4.5 millimeters, and I believe I'm using the 50-inch cable, so I can get both on, and I have extra to spare, so if I pick it up wrong, it's not going to slide off the needles. And the yarn that I'm using is this wonderful yarn that I picked up from Little Knits, sorry, and they're in Seattle, Washington. It's called Kensington by Haiku. I believe it's a New Zealand yarn. It's really nice. I like the flex in it. The colorway is called Lamington, and they have these wonderful little nubs of white coming through. I don't know whether that's because it's silk and it didn't dye, as it didn't catch the dye like the rest of the yarn. Let's have a look. 60% New Zealand merino, 25% nylon, 10% alpaca, and 5% silk knolls. So noils. And I think maybe that might be the silk that's not dyed as the dark brown. But lovely, a robust yarn. I would say that you can wear this against your skin. It doesn't pinch your skin like a toothy wool does, but it does have a little bit of robustness to it. So if you could think of like a washcloth that has maybe some sort of texture to it, and it doesn't pinch your skin, but it does feel like it's a robustness that will clean your skin. That's what this one feels like. It's a little bit like that. And I absolutely love it. So I purchased 9 hanks of that for the whole entire make, and I think I'm probably going to have enough to have leftovers. So I'm thinking I might make something for myself because I really like the color. And I have one more whip. This one is Crochet, and I am absolutely loving working on this. This one I take in my bag to work, and I work on it during my lunch break. So I have shown this before in my just before Christmas episode, and I believe I just had the first section done where you're seeing the fillet section here. I got it done to about here, but I've added now 3 more sections, and I'm on the last section. I'm on the 4th one, and this is a beautiful design by, I want to get the name correct. Oh no, I don't have that. Here it is. That's the picture of the pattern here. It's a paid for pattern, and it's called the Triangular Scarf Luconi. The pattern is written in like word form with some abbreviations, and then there's also a chart that goes and explains it if you're wanting to use a chart. There's also easy to follow photographs, and the designer name is Claudia Ramprich. I'll link the details of where you can find this in the description box, along with all the other pattern information and designers. So what do you think? I love the color. It's beautiful. It's a Stanley cake. Stanley is a line of yarn that I purchased from pleta.bg. Now they're over in Bulgaria, and it's an online store. Love it, love it, love it. I am using a 3.5 millimeter crochet hook. It's working out really well. What else can I tell you? The vegan cake that I'm using from Stanley, it's very dry yarn, so I'm finding it quite crunchy, and getting even sort of tension on the stitch work is difficult because it's not it's drying out my skin, and I don't have the natural friction that I'd like to have with such a fine yarn and a fine hook. I do like it when there's a bit of natural oils that remain on my skin, so that I can feel like I get even tension throughout the whole experience. And sometimes when it's hot, it works well because of my hands get a little bit moist. But it's been really cold here lately, so I haven't been able to feel like I have that moisture in my skin. And what else can I tell you about the yarn? The color that I have, they don't have color names on the website, they only have numbers. So, there goes my my hook. It's 2004 if you're looking for the number here. I should take it out of the bag. And this is what's left of the cake. I'm feeding it through the center pull, and I have 2.5 colors left to go to finish the pattern, and I'm yet to get to the more vibrant red, because right now it's kind of orange and red together, and then I'll get this blue here, like a Superman blue. That will be the last little bit. The rows that I'm on are now taking me around 20 minutes to half an hour to complete, because there are quite a number of stitches to get through to get right around to the other side. And I have a feeling that it'll probably be done in a couple of more lunches and some weekend crocheting. So yeah, I'll look forward to showing that completed in my next episode, hopefully. So that is all of the finished works, my works in progress. Now I got to show you some happy mail that I received, and I have the cards. I've read them, but I won't read them here on video. I'll just show you what I got. Now, you can guess who this was from. If you guess Miss Kerry Penny, you'll be correct. She has a YouTube channel, and her YouTube channel name is The Happy Crafty Homemaker. Absolutely has so much beautiful detail. I love the design sensibility, and yeah, the colorways are rich, and I love that it has this recycled feel to the paper. Beautiful, beautiful card. I also got one here. It is in a different language because I have some friends in Holland, and in translation here it is Happy Christmas and a good new year. Yeah, love that one. Those are from Hoop and Yanni. Then this one also is from Amsterdam, and this card is from Theo and David. This one here is from Australia, from my good friends Julie, Nigel, and the family. It says Merry Christmas. This one here is from Israel, and it is from Reggie, and she has a channel called J Hook Crochet. I'll link her down below as well. And my friend Emmy Phillips. Absolutely beautiful cards. I want to say thank you so much for these. They were on my mantle. We did just take the tree down last Saturday. We left the cards up for a little longer, and they just came down, I think, on Tuesday, so 2 days ago, and absolutely love them. I'll keep them tucked away somewhere safe, and one day when I'm feeling blue or, you know, wanting some inspiration, I take them out to read them and just be reminded on the community that's out there that's captivated my attention and inspired me to keep going with my craft. So I want to say thank you so much. Okay, that catches you up on all the yarny goodies that I've got to showcase. And if you're just here for that, I want to say thank you for sticking with me this far into the video. And if you want to continue on, where I'm going to shift gears and talk about what I've been up to here in the community with me and my hubby, I'm going to turn back the clock, and we're going to talk about just before Christmas. About a week, I did promise to showcase some of my walks and adventures, and this one needs to be highlighted because we happened across this wonderful area of our neighborhood last year just by accident when it was around Christmas time, and we discovered all of these amazing blocks, 3-block radius of wonderful house lights, so animatronics and flashing lights and music. It was we got out of the car this year because last year we didn't, but we had to trudge through about 3 feet of snow. Just before Christmas, we got dumped on twice with a couple of heavy loads of snow. Really pretty. As I mentioned before in the past, I do love the snow, and when it just falls, there's some sort of security and calmness about how fresh snow feels when you're walking in it. And so yeah, we jumped out of the car, we walked around this area. It's been nicknamed here called Candy Cane Lane. It's not the name of the streets for sure, but that's the way it's been coined. And we went around. So if you happen to be sensitive to flashing lights or strobing, it's not really strobing, it's kind of more twinkling lights, please be aware not to watch the video from here on in, and I'll show you some clips on those walks in our community just before Christmas. Here they are here. and Chad did a little happy penguin dance in front of one of the beautiful circular, almost psychedelic wheel that was like showing all these disco lights. It was quite fun. And then we jumped on a ferry to get to Vancouver, where we were going to stay with Chad's brother and his family for the next couple of days over Christmas. And so we got there. We had tickets to go to a special garden called the Van Dusen Garden. Now, these gardens are operated by the City of Vancouver, and they light up the area in these amazing twinkling Christmas lights. So again, this might be a trigger for some people that they might not be able to watch. So please don't watch this if you are affected by twinkling. So the weather was not so good, but it made up for it with the Christmas music and also the spectacular lights that were in the grounds. And we walked around, had those wonderful little mini donuts. There was a mulled wine area as well, which we eagerly took. Well, the kids did. The kids didn't, the adults did, I should say. And yeah, so the next couple of days we stayed with Chad's brother, and we had Chad's parents there as well. And as I said, there were the 19 people that were invited to dinner. Before I get into the next step, I should show you that footage of the Van Dusen Gardens. So here it is here. Those were wonderful, delightful lights, as you could tell by the footage. And with that, we had Christmas. It was a great time. We jumped back on the ferry, got back home, I think the 28th of December. And with Christmas done comes New Year. And we were invited by Chad's parents to go on New Year's Eve to Nanaimo, where we saw our first movie of the year, but also, I'm going to say, easily 12 months since I saw a movie. We went to see Avatar 2, which I believe the subtitle or caption is The Way of the Water. Stunning movie. We saw it in 3D, wore the glasses. I had to put them on top of my glasses, so I had 2 sets of glasses while I was watching the movie. And yeah, there were some scenes there that went on a little too long, because it was a 3.5-hour movie that could have been shortened to, I don't know, 2 hours and 40 minutes. A good half an hour could have been cut out, because the fight scenes or the beauty of the world underwater went on and on and on, it felt like. But a couple of bathroom breaks and then we were all fine. We managed to see the whole thing. Okay, that brings us back to home after New Year's Day. And I can recommend, after other things that I've been watching as a series on Netflix, Wednesday. I think I might have already mentioned this before. So we finished that whole series, I'm going to say mid-December or early December, and we absolutely loved it. There is Wednesday is the daughter of the Addams Family. If you remember, the Addams Family was a big hit. I think it was back in the early 60s or mid 60s. And the parents were Gomez and Morticia. And then the children were Wednesday and what was the boy's name? I don't remember, because he's only featured in the series very slightly. So Pugsley, I think. His name's Pugsley. I could hear you all screaming it out. Pugsley, Pugsley. So anyway, Wednesday is a series spin-off from the Addams Family, and she goes to this misfit school. It's delightful. It's almost like Harry Potter, and they have different groups of individuals that are maybe the wolves or the werewolves, and then there are the vampires, there are the stoners, which is not what you think it is. It's more like they're Medusa style creatures, and they have to wear their snakes under a beanie. Look out for the crochet as well. I think I have mentioned this before because someone did say there's great crochet in there. So I would recommend it again, but I'm bringing it up for the second time because one of my newest, not newest, but I'm going to say the last 2 years, I've been watching my guru physical dance routine podcaster, and her name is Kira Pro. I'll add her down below. She has done a little 5-minute dance workout to Wednesday's dance routine in episode 4 of the Netflix series. There is the student dance, or the prom, that Wednesday goes to, and she does this really cool kind of modish. It's almost like a mix of all different, the potato mash move, and then there's like the robot. So she does all these classic moves over the time of the decades. And yeah, so Kira Pro, who's the dance fitness person that I watch on YouTube, had done a 5-minute workout, and I absolutely loved it. So I'm going to put Kira Pro down and her little dance routine. So if you're eager to try it out yourself, I'm going to say it's medium impact. So you do need to do some kind of touching the ground and getting up and sort of moving to the beat. So yeah, I would suggest giving it a watch and see whether you think you can do it. And if you can, give it a go. So I think that catches you up on everything that I'm needing to talk about on what I've been watching, some suggestions on movies, as well as what I've been doing here in the community. So I hope you enjoyed those twinkling lights of Christmas, and you got some of that fuzzy goodness back, even though we're well and truly over Christmas. I just wanted to get that in there. With that, I'll catch you up in the next video. I have some pattern conversation to have with you, and I'll just do a separate video on that. Okay, I'll see you in the next one. Bye for now.